the Stoics from Greece, and Rome, people like Marcus Aurelius, they've enjoyed a resurgence in the popular consciousness recently, and that's wonderful. I mean, those characters are so vivifying. What they stand for, I mean, Stoicism essentially is, I cannot control what happens to me. I can control what I respond with. And there's a sort of meeting point in the history of this profound wisdom that the Stoics represent in the history of the world, the history of wisdom, with this progression of an octave towards higher and higher ascension in the annals of intelligent perception, emotionally intelligent perception. And it reaches a crescendo, in my opinion, with Ramana, Maharshi, and the Course in Miracles, because it's characters like them that you can't argue with. The people, the pulpits of the world will argue over religion and atheism, and they'll argue over philosophy and psychotherapy and approaches to psychotherapy and psychology, and they'll have all these different theories. But in the company of like the Course in Miracles, it's something you have to take to a degree on faith, just as Ramana's teachings you have to take on faith. But then there's this vertical wall, right? And your faith is what helps you scale the vertical wall, but you can't argue with it because it says things which are uncompromising. And the Stoics, in a sense, they lead us in the direction of that kind of appropriation. And that's why I see the Stoics as being, when I've had some very difficult periods in my life, I've gone to the meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And it's like, here's this man at the pinnacle of the bureaucratic and hierarchical world. He's not, you don't go to the prime minister or the president. You can't really go above them. Above them is, in God we trust and things like this, and above the king and the queen. And like, that's why the jesters are there in the courts of the medieval kings, because, if they make a mistake, who's going to take them on? Well, it has to be someone that can laugh in their face at their folly, right? And so we all have our ego version of that inner king that is so proud, or queen that's so proud and insecure. But it's the Stoics and the great mystic inside us, and the philosophers that are interested in plumbing the depths of what's important here, that seek to excavate sanity inside us. And no one can do it for us. Like, we'll get nudges from the universe in the experience of our life to try and see beyond the pain mechanism that we're attached to. And we'll find tactics and strategies to handle the challenges of our lives. And that's where, like, the great wisdom of the Stoics comes in. But then you come up against this uncompromising statement in the Course in Miracles: I'm not a victim of the world I see. And you can argue with that until you're blue in the face, and we all do. That's what egos do anyway. But you find people that have studied the Course for many years, the Course in Miracles for many years, or Ramana for many years, and those teachings, or even aspects of Buddhism, but those teachings, they're uncompromising. And when the mind is ready to make that kind of leap of absolute faith to the absolute truth, you can delay, but you can't go back. I think you can, because in your bones that this is true, this is something that's shifting everything that you've invested in, and you can't walk away from that. And the trust starts to develop. I think that's, in the Course in Miracles manual, like the first quality of someone who's invested fully in exploring whether I'm not a victim of the world I see is true or not. Trust is the first quality of that person. you know. Trust comes first. Whatever changes on the outside, you've given yourself to some trust that you're not walking away from. And you can feel crazy at times that you've devoted yourself to that. But it's the only thing that delivers you from the insanity of the belief systems of the world.